Perfect. Welcome back, Nick. Welcome to the live room, guys. If there's anybody new, welcome. I'm going to give a quick intro of what we do here because today's schedule is a little bit different. I had a meeting that got pushed forward, so going to be a short session today. We're going to have to end at 9. So what we'll probably do, we'll probably go about 45 minutes or so. We'll take a 5-minute break instead of our normal 13-minute break. And then we'll come back and get going. So I apologize for that, but very important meeting. It's one that I actually have to look nice for. So I've got to, put clothes on and travel and all that fun stuff instead of just walk out in my t-shirt like I usually do. But welcome to the live room if you guys are brand new. This is a live trading room. And what I do is I show you guys my analysis in the market. I work around the charts from both a swing trading and a day trading perspective. And we try to make it the most educational places possible. So it's just not a place where I'm coming in looking for trades or making trade calls, but I'm walking you through the analysis, showing you how I developed the idea, how I would go about executing the idea. And I do that for both my personal trading ideas and the trading ideas that some of the other traders have here in the live room. So yeah, got to put pants on, George. Yep, I know, man. I know. Gosh. Now, it was the keel in backtesting doesn't matter if on data series you use bid rather than last. I would use last if you have the option because I'm assuming that's the one that you're going to want to use during your live trading. So I would simulate it as close as possible to your live trading. Yeah, Tim, if you can try to reload. If it still doesn't work, let me know and I can restart my system. Sometimes that helps, but try it on your end first. George said, that's why I trade, because I don't need to wear pants. Yeah, especially in the summer months. All right, so let's get started. I have not looked at the markets today. Again, I'm running kind of late on life, trying to prep for everything. So this is going to be my first run through today. I did look at it last night. I shot a handful of trading ideas over to the trade floor, the pro trade log, but first time in the markets today, so it's kind of going to be an eye-opening experience. But we'll start here on the euro dollar, and first and foremost on the euro dollar, we have an advanced pattern that needs to be on the radar. Can anybody see it or know what it is? There's a few of them, but here on the daily, I heard some discussion about a potential FTB as well. It might have been pound dollar, I think you guys were saying. Yeah, potential cipher here. Right? So we take a look at, do it manual one. Take a look at this swing high to swing low. This is going to be an anchor leg because we do not break structure looking left. Swing high to swing low is going to be our X to A. Our first retracement is going to be our B to C. This move down here, because this is slightly lower than this one, is going to be our B to C. And our CD completion is going to be up here at about 113.75. 113.75. So if we push up to the 113.75 area here on the euro dollar daily, you're going to have that potential cipher setting up. Ale says there's also a bullish one at 111.20. You got to make sure you give our traders a time frame, Ale, because they're going to go about looking for it on the daily when they should be looking at it on a lower time frame. So make sure you give them a time frame as well. That way they can check it out. So going down to the 60-minute, or excuse me, 6-minute, the 4-hour, excuse me. Getting ahead of myself already. Where's my other chart? There we go. Going down to the 4-hour chart, here is what we have recently done on the euro dollar. Right? It's been a funky pair. It's been a funky pair. And we've done this. We've gone up. We had an advanced pattern formation here. Stopped us out, then we came down, hit what would have been targets, but most of us, probably all of us, were already stopped out. We came up, double topped, and then we came back down, and then recently we put in a higher high, higher close. So after all that junk, the most recent move was a higher high, higher close. As we talked about in the weekend trading edge, a good area to look for longs is going to be a pullback. First area being right here, second area being down there. Now, we do have the potential for another advanced pattern at that lower level. The first level has already been retraced to. So that move is, if you didn't catch it already, that move is already going to be gone. But there could be a potential smaller advanced pattern in that area as well. In fact, maybe two, depending on your eye. But real quick, let me just show you guys the pattern that Ale is looking at as well. He is looking at an X leg starting right here, swing low to swing high, X to A, first retracement, A to B, extension right here. We don't quite hit the 127. So he's got to check his data on this. But if you get that C leg that completes, we need to move up to about 113.60s. Then you can look for a potential decompletion on the way down. But a little bit too early. Again, we don't have that valid C leg yet, so you've got some time on this. Now, if we head down to the 60, here's what I shot over to the Pro Trade log yesterday. And again, the speed is a little bit fast. If you guys are new, I apologize. A little bit faster than normal just because I know I'm on a much shorter time limit today. Got about an hour and a half instead of 2 to 3 hours. But something to look for if you're looking at getting involved in this lower level would be what? Can anybody see it? Can you see it? Yep. A potential bat. A potential bat. And you're looking at an X to A to B, B to C, and then a move right down into this level, our 886, which is going to be at which would be at 112.62, would be a decompletion for a bat pattern. So you can look at this bat pattern a few ways. Obviously, you can take it as strictly a bat pattern, or if you're someone that, say, on a higher time frame was looking for a trend continuation trade, right? Remember that our most recent move was the higher high, higher close, right? We didn't do the whole IPDE process, but we identified a higher high, higher close that allows us to make the prediction that price is likely to go higher. If price is likely to go higher, where are we likely to go to? Well, probably our next level of previous structure. So if you're someone that's on the higher time frame and you're projecting a move, say to 114s, you can certainly use that bat pattern, again, either as a bat in its own right, as simply an entry, bring the bat back over, as simply an entry into a bigger trend continuation trade, so like a pullback trade, or of course you can do, as we say in the New York Live Room, half C's, right? You got to say it like that. You can't say it half C's. Half C's, right? You can take half off at target one, and then let a remainder of your position ride for the bigger targets. That's a small thing that concerns me, is that we never closed above the wick slightly to the left of that structure. Latch is talking this wick right here. So he says the fact that we did not close above that wick does cause him some concern. Now the question is, since it causes you some concern, does that mean, and this is the question that you need to ask yourself, or the answer you need to give yourself, does that mean that you're not looking for trend continuation? Does it mean that you still are? Or does it mean that you're unsure? And that's the question that you need to ask yourself as a trader. Half C's. I knew you'd like that, Nick. Always take the bigger half. Always take the bigger half. All right, let's head down to the 15, more of our day trading time frames. I don't think we're going to get much here. The market kind of junked out on us. No news today on the radar. We do have some, I think, GDP tomorrow, but no news on the radar today. We usually take a look at that first, but we're in kind of rush mode here. Let's take a look at the 5-minute here on the euro dollar. Not too much on the 5. Any questions about the euro? And again, if you guys are brand new, I apologize for the speed. I know it seems fast, usually just being a new trader in the live room with all of the kind of the newness of the terminology and the process that I go through. Today's a little bit faster, again, because of that time limit. But trust me, you will get, once you spend usually about 7 to 10 days in a live room, it starts to slow down massively, as the process, you'll notice, is exactly the same each and every day on each and every pair. And the terminology starts to make more sense as well, especially as you continue to interact with our traders outside of the live room. Get on the chat. Get on the chat. All right, let's go to pound dollar next. Let me write this down so I know exactly what time we're at. Pound dollar, we're going to be at 11 minutes. All right, perfect. The cable, as always, we will start on the daily and work our way down. Pound dollar is one of the pairs last week where we were looking for head and shoulders, right? We had about 4 or 5 pairs looking for head and shoulders. Unfortunately, pound dollar wasn't one that I was personally interested in because of the wick you can see within that white box. It didn't really offer a good path to profits. But you can see that the market is still holding that formation. We came down, we retested the neckline here, and we haven't violated it yet. So we still don't have that true sign for reversal. You know, we had 2 good holds of structure here, then we had a stronger bullish candle, then we basically gave all of that back up the next day, and then right now we're in indecision mode, consolidation with that doji candle. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out if we can get a break of that level. Again, normally this would be the level that you would say if we break this level, we can expect to move upward. This wick over here means we really have to break that 128 even handle to expect to move up to say 129. So we may have to be a little bit patient with the pound dollar. But news out tomorrow, I believe we should see some movement. I believe GDP is tomorrow. Am I wrong on that, guys? Pound GDP tomorrow. I am wrong on that. What is Draghi speaks tomorrow? Core CPI. Is there no pound GDP this week? Carney speaks on Friday. Huh. I must have my weeks messed up. Yesterday. Okay, Monday, yesterday. Yesterday was GDP. George says news has been killing me. Yeah. I have a feeling this is going to be a more active summer, which I'm happy about. I'm inviting, but I have a feeling now, for better or for worse. But I have a feeling I got a feeling it's not going to be a lazy summer. Now let's hope it's not a crazy news-driven summer. That would not be good. But we'll see. What makes you feel that about the summer? Experience. I've read this book before, and last time I read it, this is how it went. But also the fact that there's a lot of fundamentals going on during the summertime. You know, we are in a double trade war. There are new elections. There is Brexit uncertainty. There are potential interest rate changes in multiple currencies. So it's not one of those summers where everything is kind of just settled. There can be a lot of positioning prior to the end of the year, especially with so many currencies expecting to potentially make some major adjustments before year's end. So it may be a summer, and less liquidity, so you're going to see more movement because of that. Now again, I hope it's a good summer. I hope it's not just a kind of like what we saw earlier this year, where the market does nothing and then it just rallies for like a half a day and then it does nothing again. I hope it's more kind of natural movement, people just kind of positioning themselves for the fourth quarter. But you never know. I don't know. I feel like it's been so slow so far that last time it happened, we actually saw things pick up. So we'll see. Trump screws up so many of my trades. I've been trading higher time frames. That's why I don't get worked out. Trump hasn't been that bad this year, has he? He hasn't been that bad this year. It's been more. This year's been Brexit. But, the trade wars are kicking off again, so he'll be back. I feel like Trump's been relatively quiet. Either that or I've just, been ignoring it. One of the two. He shouldn't be allowed to tweet. Now, that is true. That is true. All right, so pound dollar, 4 hour again. Not too interested where we're at right now. We're channeling between two different levels of structure. Those two yellow lines. Um, Nick says freedom of speech, but he's in a position of influence when it comes to the financial market. So he should be watching what he says. Like some of it seems like insider information. Like a lot of people have gotten in trouble for insider information, for doing stuff less than what Trump has done. Right. So like if I'm a CEO of a company, I'm a CEO of if I'm CEO of Tier 1 Trading and we're we're publicly owned. I can't go out there and tweet like, yeah, I'm going to be selling all my Tier 1 stocks because it needs to be done. Like, I can't do that. And he's had some tweets where he's like, yeah, interest rates are too low. We need to do this. Or it's just, I mean, I feel like it would be a normal tweet for someone else, but when you're the president and you're in charge of these people, I feel like you shouldn't be doing that. I don't know. Oh yeah, Elon Musk got in trouble. Yeah. Like I feel like you can't be saying interest rates are too low, we need to change it. Like I guess technically he doesn't have that power, so maybe that's why, but that's why it's not illegal. He doesn't have the power to change interest rates or anything like that, but he appoints the people that have that power. So like in a way, I don't know, that was always fishy to me, but I think we're also in a thing where it's like, it's Trump being Trump. It's Trump being Trump. Technically, he can't invest, so he can't personally benefit. Yeah, I mean, per the rules, yeah, not on. Yeah, I mean, he can, yeah, he can't personally invest, but come on now, come on now. You have to actually prove that Trump or people have talked to have benefit from his tweeted insider trading stick. All right, let's go pound dollar. So we're within this channel here on pound dollar on to 240. So again, we're waiting for a breakout. We need something to happen. Again, we're just not in a position right now where there's much of interest for me, but perhaps we get an advanced pattern within here. We could be setting up what looks like a potential Gartley. But right now, not too much on the pound dollar. Pound dollar 60-minute. So a few things happening here. You can make the case for the start of a Gartley pattern real early in the game, but you can look at an X to A to B right here, and see if we get that B to C completion. But again, right now, just not too much at all with interest here in the pound dollar. So we'll go down to the 15. We'll go down to the 5. Now, normally I would like if we had more of a directional bias, I would say look for trading opportunities on this pullback. Right, this is going to be a 1618 inversion. But this is kind of the example of letting the full prediction come out. Right, you can make the case. You can make the case for a pullback. But we don't have any prediction that price is likely to go higher than lower. So the question is, do we want to involve ourselves in a trade going higher when we don't necessarily have a prediction that we're more likely to go higher than lower? So that's the kind of the dilemma there. You can force something if you wanted to, but the question is, why would you want to? Real quick, Latch says potential cipher. Looking at X to A to B. B to C right here. Your CD completion would be right there. Just make sure you double check your data. Make sure that D leg is below the B leg. Questions on pound dollar? Euro yen. We had a high and tight flag last night. Any flag pattern traders in here? Anybody indulge? Was Chris Mills lurking? You in here, Chris? Chris Mills lurking. I know he's a flag trader. But Euro yen was a trade. The pair we traded last week. This was another one of the head and shoulders pattern. This was the one that I was able to get involved in. Fortunately, again, a lot of them just didn't have the opportunity. And you can see my notes on here. It doesn't really look like too much here on the daily, but we had a nice flag here on the euro yen. Cody said he took the euro dollar flag. So there is potential to go higher here on the euro yen. Just looking at the daily, we can see our previous level of structure, right? We have our structure highs right here, really lurking between 123.32s and about 123.80. So we can still push up quite higher, although we are sitting at the 123 even handle. But this level will be the next level that I would expect to get hit, mainly because we have multiple levels of structure. Previous support, turn resistance at that same level. We have our 3 touches. For anyone that was in the Q&A yesterday. Our 3 touches. Now here's a good example, actually. See, this is 3 touches here. I wouldn't call this major support. But again, it's all terminology though. Major, minor. But yeah, we can expect to move. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a move higher to that 123.50s level. Heading down to the 240 chart, get a clearer view of our flag. Beautiful. Could be beautifuler, but beautiful consolidation. Again, here is our head and shoulders down here, very similar to the pound dollar, but again, had more room for opportunity. And then we've finally broken out of this level. So, breakout, what should we expect after a breakout? Price has consolidated, price has broken out. What are some things to expect? Yeah, maybe a pullback. We could expect a continuation higher. How are we going to continue higher? Maybe a potential pullback, right? Now the market is kind of moseying on up right now. This isn't a very solid break at all. So, in fact, this would not surprise me if we came back and really pulled back to the bottom of this flag or even pulled back below it. This is not a convincing breakout. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, we break out, right? Not a convincing breakout at all. It's really just the market moseying up. So wouldn't surprise me at all if we came back and retraced all the way to the lows or even broke below these lows. Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't even call it relief to the previous question. Sorry, but yeah, this is not a good breakout at all. So that really changes how I'm looking at things. Not for the better either. Not for the better. So you can still look for the same type of concept though, a breakout and a pullback. I think you want to be cautious with this one though. Again, not a convincing breakout at all. Not a very strong sign of bullish strength. If there's not a strong sign of bullish strength, there may be some bearish strength lurking around the corner. But you can look for a pullback into that flag and then a chance to get high. I'm going to wait to see if we can attack these lows. I wouldn't put myself in any type of position that I don't have the minimum amount of risk. So because it's a trading opportunity that I'm not really fond of, I need the minimum amount of risk possible in order to take it. Which means I have zero interest if we retrace here, zero interest if we retrace here. I want to put myself in a position where if I lose on an iffy situation, I lose a little bit, little bit, and can make a lot. Does that make sense, guys? I mentioned this to many of you guys before. I'm willing to take more risk in my better trading situations. I am not willing to take more risk in my worse ones. Very similar to CTS, right? If you have a higher CTS score, there's a better probability of you winning or losing. Is it a better or worse trading situation? Probably a better situation, right? If it's a better situation, you're more likely to accept more risk. You say, okay, well, there's a little bit more risk on this, but the trading situation is better, so I'm willing to accept that trade-off. If you have a low CTS score, you do the same thing for position sizing as well. If you have a low CTS score where it's like, right, you're probably not willing to make that same trade-off where you're saying, oh, I'm willing to accept a lot of risk for this bad trading situation. So it's that balancing act. Tiger blood. All right. Questions on Euro Yen before we head over to the beast next. And if there's a pair you guys want to get to right away, let me know. Again, I'm just going through my normal portfolio. Typically, I do a look around the market, both my pairs and the other pairs that I don't trade, and I try to pick out which ones have the best educational opportunities. But again, today, this is my first time rolling around the markets today, so I have no idea what's going on. But let's go to Das Beast. And let's see what we have going on here. More drifting on the daily, right? If you guys remember, we came down. We're near the lows. We can still go lower to 136s. So there is still a potential opportunity to continue lower here on the pound yen. But we are starting to consolidate back. We have not violated this previous high momentum candle. And we're currently holding that level. That can be a decent level to look for shorts. If the market can't take out those highs, that could be a decent level to look for shorts. This can simply be a flag pattern. Maybe not your traditional looking one, but this can be a flag pattern. Now again, you're limited as far as the amount of breakout to the downside, in my opinion, but keep an eye out for that. 240 chart. Ooh, got a beautiful candle on the 60. If you go real quick to the 60-minute pound yen, hold on. Give me a second, guys. Let me just see. Yeah, you got a beautiful candle on the 60. That risk reward may not be in your favor though, but we'll check it out when we get down there. But so you have price action drifting up, right? Coming back into an area of a previous kill zone, right? Previous new structural low, previous outside return, kill zone right here. If you're someone that's anticipating a continuation down to this level, is anyone anticipating a move back down to 136.60s? If you are, you're going to have a beautiful setup. A beautiful setup on the pound yen. I'm going to get short right now. We just retraced a little bit, so that's going to give me some room. Give me a second here. I'll bring it over in a little bit. No, not buy a keel. Sell. There we go. Ooh, good fill. Thank you. Give me 1 second. I need to do this on both machines. But 138.04 is where I'm short at. What was that, 50s? Oh no, that's not gonna give me a risk reward. Nope, still not gonna give me a risk reward. Okay, nope. All right, close that out. We'll see if we can get a double top. I don't, yeah. All right, I don't have a risk reward going on. I'll show you what I was looking at though. So head over to the hourly. I can't get a 1-to-1. Here's what we have on an hourly here. Let's see if you guys can see what I was interested in. Yeah, look at that. Yep. So we came up to retest, right? Initially, we had this over here, right? Nice rejection looking left. Right? We then come back up. If we look right, came back up to that level. Two beautiful candles, right? High momentum, bullish candle. high wick candle to the upside, nice pin bar, maybe not technically, but we look at this the same way, and then a lower low, lower close. Only issue is that the risk, because we spike so high, it's an inverse risk reward for me. I'm looking to take initial targets right down here, not at the lows here. So unfortunately, it's an inverse risk reward. Let's look at the 240 real quick. George says bat on the 240. Oh, you know what? I forgot about that, George. You're right. We did have a bat on 240. No, you're right. You're dead right. That didn't complete yet, though, right? Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, that's gonna be my secondary opportunity. Sorry, I forgot all about that. I was in my notes from the weekend video. That's what happens when you don't prep for the day. Yeah, that was on my radar for the pound yen, the bat here. Yeah, so that's a secondary opportunity to get involved. We push higher, 138.48 for a bear bat here. But I like this level right here. Unfortunately, just can't make it work. Can't make it work. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe we push up. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe we'll break up and then we'll get the bat filled on dollar yen. Or, excuse me, pound yen. Cody says there's a bull cipher, I believe, just eyeing it, 136.54. Yep. That's looking at this A leg as the X leg. That's a potential bull cipher as well. It'll be completing right down here. So you can certainly keep an eye out for that as well. Draw it on real quick, roughly for you guys. Boop, boop. If you guys want to see it, that's over in the pro trade log as well. Looking like that. Technically, this leg would be over there. Risk reward. Come on, man. I'm really upset about that. I like this setup. Oh well. Doesn't matter what I like. Doesn't matter what I like. All right, 15-minute chart. Here's a look at the pound yen 15-minute chart. So different story here in the 15. Because what do we have here in the 15 that's different than the 60? Yep, we have a higher high, higher close. That's going to give you a different story. Different story. 5-minute pound yen. Not too much to go off of here. Any questions about pound yen? Potential bear bat, 138.48. Potential bull cipher, 136.94. Nice lower low, lower close, depending on where you're looking for targets on the 60. Maybe you get a risk reward that works. Maybe you're like me and get a risk reward that doesn't work. All right, let's do this. Let's take a 5-minute break. Just to refill the coffee cups and whatnot, and we'll come back and we'll finish up our trading day. Let's make it 7 minutes. We'll come back and finish up again. Short session today. Just got a meeting that got bumped up. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Here we go. Let me start my recording. Now we're at 34 minutes. Perfect. Naomi says, Akil, I basically bought a data downloader from FXCM, so I have access to historical data, 10 years for gold, etc. I only have access to bid and ask prices. Do you think I should not use these for testing as I don't have the last price? No, you can use it for testing. It's fine. It won't really make a difference. Yeah, you'll be fine. There'll be maybe a small percentage of trades where perhaps like if the stop loss comes within a few pips, normal spread stuff, if it comes normal demo trade spread stuff, or if it comes within a few pips of your either your entry target or stop, then you have to take note of that. But overall, it shouldn't make any difference in your trading. Again, aside from those few examples. Yep. It's bid and ask. It's essentially the same as it's going to be the same as your spread. That's all the bid and ask is. It's the difference between the bid and ask is your spread in the market. Yep. So it'd be no difference from like in demo trading or back testing, I should say, when you notice that a wick hits your, or a wick maybe comes to your entry, but doesn't go past your entry. So it, in real life, it doesn't really fill it, where in back testing, it would be a profitable trade. So every once in a blue moon it'll happen, but overall shouldn't be a big deal. Still haven't seen John Wick yet. I need to. Halle Berry, say no more. Don't say terrible. Oh, I hope you mean I'm terrible. Don't you ever say John Wick is terrible. I'm terrible for not seeing it. I heard you weren't so good, George. How about that? I'm not. Okay, whatever. Halle Berry's in it. Say no more. It doesn't matter. I'm already happy with the movie. It could be the worst movie in the world. Halle Berry. That's all I'm saying. All right. Dollar yen on the daily. Where are we at now? Now my mind's on a different place because of Halle Berry. All right. Dollar yen on the daily. We came down to a previous level of structure support. I enjoyed Catwoman too. Yeah, I don't remember anything from the actual movie, but I remember Halle Berry. So there are certain people like that. Halle Berry's one for me. All right, so daily chart. We saw price action here on the yen bounce off a little bit of support. We're finally starting to break out a little bit higher. We had a very similar situation. To what was it? The pound yen trade, where we saw like a channel and then looked for a breakout. So if we see this breakout here, if we can get a breakout above the 108.70s level, we're likely to continue up higher to about 109 flat. I know that doesn't seem like much, but think about it from a day trading perspective. If you can get a move in a pullback, there's probably 50 pips or so of potential profit in there. You would also think that we could continue a little bit higher to 109.50s. This may be more realistic, but your safety zone is going to be right here about 109 flat. So 109 flat to 109.50 should be that area you're projecting price to go to. As we go down to the 240, we can get a clearer look at these structure lows right around here. And you can see that we haven't quite, we're currently working on a break and close above. We haven't quite gotten a recent break and close above here. But if we do look for a pullback, look for an extension, you do have some minor structure in here that may obstruct your profit taking. But that's going to be the case in many trading situations where you're going to have minor structure somewhere. And we can't get too caught up over avoiding every single level of structure. That's something that I used to do. When I used to draw trend lines and stuff, like horizontal trend lines, but I used to draw structure lines on my chart. Anybody do that? Anybody draw a whole bunch of structure lines on their chart? I used to have them in different colors on like structure lines from the daily were red, and then the 4 hour were green. And I would look for every single bit of structure, and there would be lines all over my chart. So I'd have a chart like this. I'd look at these high, and I'd be like, structure, oh, structure, 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 structure. And I would add that with Fibonacci's. So I'd have all these Fibonacci's on from different levels. And I would have like pivot points on. I had a lot of stuff on at the time. I have like pivot points on too. And I would never actually get into a trade because every time the price would move, it would be close to something else. I'd be like, oh, we just broke above structure. But there's a 23.6 fib there. Okay, we got to get above that 23.6. Oh, there's a pivot, daily pivot 0.3. S3 is there. Oh, more structure. And I would never actually take a trade because I would scare myself out of it because, well, there was always something in the way. That was a really, really bad habit of mine, just drawing too much on my chart. But I had no concept of trend. I had no concept of structure, support, and resistance. I had no concept of everything. So there was no way for me to determine what was good, what was bad, or rather what was important, what wasn't important. It was just, it was, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what it looked like. Now imagine that with like, I had some other trend lines too, some like traditional like angled trend lines, and they're all different colors and 14 indicators on a chart. Yeah, my chart was a mess. It was bad. Cody said I just had a Facebook post come up 3 years ago. That's how my chart looked. Yeah. Well, see, like, but here's the thing, Cody, right? Cody says, it's the first thing we did because we all learned support and resistance. I don't even think I learned support and resistance. Like, I didn't learn it. But I get what you're saying. Like, I just learned. Like, I didn't learn how to identify it. I just knew that it was important. So I didn't really know what I was drawing lines on, but I think I was drawing lines on what I thought was support and resistance. But then it wasn't actually support. Yeah, just highs and lows. There we go. Yeah, highs and lows. Short term high and low. Mid-term high and low. Lower term high or low. Super lower term high or low. Lower low within the higher low of the lower low. It was a mess, man. I look back. I'm like, how did I not? Well, I did go broke. Well, I didn't go broke. I wasn't that dumb. But man, I look back. I did some dumb stuff, man. But I did some. It's funny. You look back, and this is the cool thing about getting experience as a trader. When you guys, many of you guys are kind of like restarting right now. When you look back, you're gonna find some stuff that you used to do that was actually good, and you're gonna be able to look at that in a new light, right? That's how the FTB was. FTB was a older strategy that Jason learned, and after he had more knowledge in the market, he went back to it and kind of tweaked it a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if you found something where it's like, I was using this type of cross, like a moving average cross. I was using a moving average cross and I was bleeding money. But now that I have knowledge of reading a trend, now I can add that filter of just reading price action to that moving average cross. And that helps filter me out of all the non-trending positions that I took. Simple stuff like that. That's why I always want to go back to the inside bar strategy. I think I can trade it. It worked back then, so you would think it would work even better now. But I'm really stubborn in how I want to trade it now. So, let's see. Okay, so back to dollar yen on the 15th. Let's keep going down to lower time frames. Where kind of similar to the euro yen, where we're breaking out a little bit, but not really a ferocious breakout. Again, you can make the case for a C leg of a potential cipher here. X to A to B, B to C, and if we travel all the way down here, we'll have a CD completion. Really early in the game, but nothing wrong with identifying it. I just don't see anything. There's nothing convincing here right now on dollar yen. Let's go down to a 50 range. I think we were the only two, Cody, with all those things on our screen. No one else commented. They just left us out there. Idiots. Idiots. And George said I was in there. Don't worry, I was there. Some of you guys are nervously like, you still kind of doing it? Yeah. But it's interesting. Looks like a trader headaches. Yeah. Hey, but there are people still legitimately doing that, man. It's I haven't been on TradingView in a while, which is sad. It's sad I haven't been on TradingView in a while. It was a great platform. I don't think it's a great platform anymore. Well, it's a great platform for charting. It was a great community platform, and then like what happens to every form, it turns toxic as the virus of human nature takes over. The Matrix is right, man. We are a virus. Yeah, Mr. Smith, right? Was that his name, Mr. Smith from the Matrix? He said humans, ugh, the smell, the taste. You guys are viruses. We are viruses. Not to go off on too much of a rant because I don't have the time today, but we are. We've infected this earth. Well, think about it, Naomi. You're a virus too. You virus. We infected this earth. We're using up all of its assets. We're going to suck it dry and it's gonna just die, and then by the time it dies, we're gonna have the ability to go to another planet, and we're gonna do the same thing there. Just taking all of its resources. Taking all of its resources. Shame, 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 shame. We see that driving around because the city that I live in is it's the hottest city in the U.S. as far as like as far as real estate goes and people moving to it and stuff like that. So of course, what they're doing is, as you get a city that has a lot of the population is drastically increasing, people start building malls, and like you're seeing all this green like land that used to be around, it's all turning into malls. There are like coyotes and bobcats roaming around now. My wife was telling me the other day there've been all these coyotes and mountain lion spottings because with all the construction of the new malls, they've destroyed their homes and they don't know where to go. Well, you know what they're doing now, George? A new thing with malls is they make malls part of these complexes. So they build malls with housing attached to them. That's the new trend. Yeah, and it doesn't make. I mean, it makes sense to me. I still don't think it makes as. I mean, I'm brick and mortar. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, but I guess it is. Yeah, I guess it's one of the things where, cause like I suppose, like if I lived in one of the, I wouldn't want to live next to a mall or in a mall. But I suppose if I live there, then I'm more likely, instead of just going to Amazon.com, I'm more likely to walk out and go to the local Nordstrom. I suppose it doesn't. I mean, I don't know. Um, but like they're all. I think that the day of the kind of the inside mall is done. It's kind of these outside walk malls with fountains and which I like that better than the inside mall. Um, but yeah, I always thought that we've got a new mall that opened up and it's been open for about a year now, and every time I pass it, there's so many open lots in it, uh, and it's like I'm wondering if people planned it before, if they I don't know, they built out this massive space, tore down all this land, and there's like two stores in there, and it's been there for like a year, and I'm just wondering, I'm like that. Yeah, I wonder if people think before they do, which many people don't. Right? I told you the example yesterday from the Culture Code book. Many people don't think before they do, but we'll see. Cody says nobody shops anymore. We got Amazon. Last says, Akil, would you be able to look at Euro Pound? I was not looking for a short on lower time frames to get involved. Sure, we can go to Euro Pound next. Skip over dollar Canada. I still shop. Well, I don't really shop, but when I do shop, I still do clothing in stores. Don't you think construction will be impacted by virtual reality? How so? What's the construction virtual reality? What's the overlap there? Like house prices, because if you can go on VR to a nice apartment, why do you need to live in a nice area? So you mean like sit in a bad house and just be in a nice apartment on your VR? Like that? Uh, I don't think so. Um, May I think if you can afford to get out the hood, you get out the hood. Let's put it that way. I think it's more than VR. I think it's more of at some point you still have to go outside and walk and get to work. Um, but I get you though. That makes perfect sense. I don't think people will go to VR. I think people will use VR more so for entertainment. So instead of going to sporting events, instead of going to soccer matches or NBA games, NBA has it already, where you sign up for their app, you can throw a VR and you can be right there on a courtside seat. right? So I think that's more impactful. I think vacation, you won't necessarily go to, you may not go on a vacation where you can just go on a VR vacation. I still think there's an emotional attachment to a house that can't be gained in VR. It is the touch, the feel, right? We people buy houses and rent apartments purely off of emotion, right? There is a massive difference. Again, it's when you stage houses for sale, right? You stage three places, right? Who knows those three places? That first and foremost, there's a massive difference between staging a house and not staging a house. There's a massive difference. And for you guys, staging a house means like if you're showing a house instead of just having like an open house where it's just like open and nothing there, just walls and doors. Staging means like, you put a couch in there, you put some pillows, you make it look like a home, right? You make it look like a home because people go in there and it's easy for them to envision how they want their home to be. If it's just an empty house, you're kind of thinking like, unless you're into that sort of thing, you're like, okay, I don't know how I would lay this out. But you put a couch in there, you put a table in there. Now you can, I can see myself eating there, right? You put some fresh fruit on the kitchen table. That's a big one. Oh, I can see, you can see it. Same thing with the bathroom and the bedroom. And it's typically an emotional attachment to a house. So I don't think VR will affect that. I think at the end of the day, the majority of your life is going to be in real life. And you can't avoid the realities of living in a bad neighborhood. And, trust me, you don't want that. You'd rather physically live in a good neighborhood. But I do think entertainment would take the biggest hit. Is this real life? I don't know. If it's the Matrix, I'm fine with it. I'd rather be here than the robotic part. But I do think entertainment will take a hit. You're gonna see sporting events get hit massively. And they're gonna have to figure out a way to change that. Although they may not mind because you know what, they get paid for that anyway. But I think that would be the biggest thing. Yeah, it's already evolving. Yeah, but that will be it. Yeah, someone will definitely rob you if they know you're in VR in the hood. Yeah, I will. Yeah, shoot, I will watch your house for 3 straight weeks and find out exactly your schedule and when you do it, and I will rob you. Not me personally, but yeah, it's yeah, that's what I would do. Oh, Naomi goes on VR every day from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Okay, there's my window. Don't give me 4 hours. Don't give me 4 hours. Especially if you got the noise canceling headphones on, you're done. All right, yeah, we'll get to Europan a little bit. But yeah, I think entertainment VR. I mean, VR is next. VR is next. I mean, it's been around for a while, obviously, but that's the next wave and everything. What I would like to see is I would like to see a VR version of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. I loved Choose Your Own Adventure books growing up. I'd like to see like a VR movie of that where you can be in a movie and you can make decisions, and based on your decisions, it takes you to a different part in the movie. That'd be kind of cool. All right, so Europan on the daily, if you guys remember, we broke our previous structure highs here last week. We got our pullback last week or 2 weeks ago, and now we're extending up to a previous level of consolidation, right? Right in here, a bigger level. So we can look for potential reversals anywhere between 89.29s and 91 flat, essentially. And Latch's question was something about the hourly. Give me a second to go back and find it. Hourly, house prices, euro pound. We could talk housing for a while. I just had a really good conversation. Double top on the 60. Okay, looking for a 15-minute. I was talking to my real estate, my friend and my partner in my real estate business. He just got a new house, and we're talking a little bit about the difference between just the whole buying and selling phenomenon. It's a different world out here. More and more people are moving back home with parents instead of going out and renting apartments or buying houses. And it's a different age. Now, here we go too, real quick on a daily here, potential bear cipher here on Euro Pound as well. Buying versus renting is an interesting combo. It is. I tell you what would be funny well, maybe not. So if you ever got Jason Greystone and myself in a room and had that discussion, it would be a very heated argument. That's my initial thought, but then it wouldn't actually. It wouldn't be initial argument because we both agree in a sense. Here's how it would be, right? It wouldn't be because we would agree that at the end of the day, it depends on your mindset. So, Greystone's stance is that, buying a house is a waste of money. It's stupid. It's dumb. You should just rent. The general opinion that's out there, the norm now is that you should buy, right? Why rent? When you rent, you're throwing your money away and stuff like that, right? And initially, 'cause I remember hearing his first talk. Initially, I'm like, no, not at all. I don't believe in renting versus buying at all. But at the end of the day, I have to remember that my mindset is different than the normal person, right? I think the average person doesn't stay in their house for the duration of their mortgage period. I think the average person has maybe that buys maybe 2 or 3 houses in their lifetime. So they're never actually capitalizing, for the most part, on their quote unquote investment. Does that make sense? So what Greystone's stance is essentially this, right? And this depends on your situation, depends on where you're living. But in general, it's cheaper to rent than buy, right? In general, it costs you less to rent and buy. And it's more about opportunity cost, right? If you are someone that plans on being an entrepreneur, if you don't plan on being an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. If you're someone that plans on being an entrepreneur and starting a business, right? What you save in renting versus buying could go towards your business. And if your business is going to develop into your main source of income, right? It's better to spend money on that investment, right? Your business versus the investment of buying a house, which makes perfect sense. Keeping in mind that most people will never see out their investment in a house. Most people will do a 30-year mortgage. For you guys, anybody have mortgages here? Anybody have a house? Right? Your mortgages, you're paying more, right? You pay more interest up front, right? You pay more interest up front than on the back end, right? So because they know this, right? They know that most people aren't staying in their house for 30 years. So they're like, let's get as much as we can from you in the beginning as far as interest versus principal, right? Lots of interest, little principal, than on the back end, right? So if you're only staying in your house for 10 years, right? If you're only staying in your house for 10 years and then you sell it, and again, assuming that you're not in a real estate boom and you're making a massive return on it, you're basically losing money, right? When you take into the account that, not only all the interest that you pay, but also the things that come with home ownership, right? Fixing stuff and taxes and all that fun stuff. You're basically losing money. And then you buy another house, right, in 10 years because you upgrade or you downgrade. And then basically you start the cycle over again. And you never really capitalize off it. So I agree from that standpoint. I agree from that standpoint. Now again, I think I don't want to say I would never rent. I would always own versus rent. But my mindset is a little bit different because guess what I did when I owned my first house? I rented out all the extra space and I didn't pay a dime. Yeah. So that's the way I see it. I want to own, right? I want to move people in there while I own it, right? I want them to pay for all of the stuff, right? If I make a little bit of profit or break even, it's still, even if I'm even technically breaking even is making profit because nothing is coming out of my pocket, then that's a win, right? So I'm basically paying off interest, principal, all the other stuff that comes with home ownership, right? Taxes, right? And there's nothing really coming from me. And bigger picture, I'm not selling that house. So when I pay it off in 30 years or 15 years, if I want to do it early, I get to the place where eventually I'm making 80% profit on it after I've paid off all of the mortgage and everything. Still paying taxes and fixer-upper stuff like that. But it becomes a massive investment down the road while gaining equity. And that's a part as well. That would be a big part of my argument, right? One of the main reasons I'm big on learning how to use money. Again, I bought my first property off of student loans. I went to grad school just so I can buy a house. I went to grad school just so I can apply for, I think it was like $25,000 in student loans, so I can use that to make a down payment on a house. Right? So here's another thing that comes with owning versus renting, right? When you own a house, right, you now have equity. And even if you don't have any kind of real equity in the home from paying it off, it is easier for you to apply for a loan. Because guess what happens, right? If you default on your loan, guess what the bank can take? Yeah, your house. Which is and loans are hard to get these days, but it's a safety net. It's a safety net. Where if you've got nothing, if you're renting, you default on your personal loan or whatever you take, right? They're like, okay, what am I going to take from Cody? There's no kind of safety net, blah, blah, blah. Take his car, yeah, right? Now you're in a situation where you make your personal financial sheet look a lot better because your net worth has improved, and that's massive when it comes to loans. That is massive. I got to the point where I can basically get whatever loan I wanted because of what my financial sheet looked like. And one of the reasons was because there were houses on there. There were houses with equity. So it was like, oh, sure, you've got $50,000 equity in your home already? Okay, yeah, we'll give you a $50,000 loan. Just sign here if you default, blah, 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 and sure. So, I mean, you can look at it both ways. You can look at by renting, it's cheaper, and it opens up free cash. It opens up free cash to start your business. But you can also look at it from the other mindset where if you are an owner and you put yourself in a position where you acquire equity right away. Again, I acquired $50,000 of equity as soon as I bought my house because I bought it for $53,000 less than what it was valued at. Right? Now you put yourself in a position where it's easier for you to get a personal loan. And some would argue, I would argue, that may be the quicker way to grow your business. Right? If you think about how much you would save per month versus renting versus home ownership, right? How much do you think you could save? How much do you think you would save? What would be the difference? Yeah, and the whole point, George, is it all depends on your mindset, and that's where me and Grace don't agree 100%. That's why it wouldn't be an argument because it'd just be like, well, what's your mindset? If you have a bad mindset, you're going to fail renting versus buying. If you have a bad mindset, you're going to fail buying versus renting, right? So it doesn't really matter. If you have a bad mindset, you're going to fail either way. If you have a good mindset, you're going to succeed either way. It's just different paths to get to the same thing. But let's say you're saving $200, right, a month for renting versus buying, right? $200 a month. So you for a year you've saved $2,000, right? $2,500, let's say, $2,500 that could be put into your business, right? What if you acquired a house? If you had the funds to acquire a house, obviously, you acquired a house, you automatically fell into some equity, and you went to the bank and asked for a $20,000 loan, and they gave it to you. Well, you just got $20,000 in that first year versus $2,000 in that first year. So some would argue that it's actually a quicker way to fund your business because you've opened up different opportunities. So, like I said, like George said, you can either way, yeah, and that just becomes being smart, don't default on the loan. Don't default on the loan, right? And I'm also a fan of using other people's money, right? So I would much rather use a loan than my own personal cash in certain situations, unless I can do the whole thing in cash. But you see, there's no wrong or right answer, guys. It all depends on your mindset. But that's, I'm a big fan of home ownership, but I also know that I'm not moving in 10 years. Like I own this home, my personal home. I own this home, and you better be darn sure I'm staying in it. It's an investment, right? I pay attention to every single house that gets sold in my neighborhood. House next to me got sold last year. Gave him a high five, my man. There you go. See if you can get this much for it. Oh yeah, my man. Right? There's a house on the corner for sale. I don't think it's gonna get it, but it's going for $400,000. Shouldn't be a $400,000 house, but the property values are hot here. Right? So I'm looking at it, I'm offended. I'm like, $400,000 for that? And then I'm like, wait a minute. $400,000 for that. If they sell it for $400,000, oh yeah. So for me, it's an investment. I know what I paid. I know I went directly into having equity. I pay attention to property values. I know things change over time, but in general, housing prices go up over time. Just like the stock market, they will go up. And I'm looking at it down the road, and I'm saying, okay, well, if I can sell my house for at least double from what I bought it for, is that a positive investment? And there's security. Last thing I promise, we'll get back to Euro pound. People, don't underestimate that, right? Here's the last thing I would say on this. You realize when you rent, right? And this could be a hassle. When you rent, you can be kicked out at any time, or any time your lease is up. I mean, when you're in a position where you're establishing a family, right? You've got kids, you got your wife, kids, husband, kids, and you're establishing a home, a nest. That's a big stressor. That could be a big stressor saying, hey, we decided we're not going to do this anymore. Come December, you're going to have to find another place. Again, for some of you guys, like, okay, well, I move all the time, not a big deal. I like the security of knowing, again, aside that I don't default on my mortgage payments, that you can't take this from me. Like it's ownership. I not all of it, because the bank owns it until you're paid off your mortgage, but you own land. You will own land, and I think land is the most valuable thing we have on this earth, because if you just heard my conversation about what we're doing to the planet, you want some land. Just because I moved twice, yes, it's not. I can imagine. I moved once. Well, recently, not recently, but when I went from renting to buying, I moved once, and it was down the street, and that was a hassle. It was also during a blizzard, but that was the hassle. And we were dealing with a landlord who there were some issues with the house. He didn't want to fix them. And I'm in a renter's position. I'm like, hey, can you fix these, please? And he was like, no. And I'm like, well, I'm not fixing these because I don't own this house. I'm not investing that much. But and he said, stop paying property tax and you'll see who owns the land. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. They used to sell land for $1 back in Philadelphia, man. Open lots for $1. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it all depends on it all depends on what you're gonna do with it. All right, so Euro pound finally. Cipher on the day. Let's get down to the 240. But yeah, it will be an interesting discussion. But we end up having the same opinion. That's why I say it would end up kind of boring. It would just be kumbaya and swinging arms together, like we agree, yeah. Let's get down to the 240. You can see the double top here on the 240. Price action came up. A little bit of a retracement, retested that level, that 89.30s. Let's check it out in the 60. George, I'm down to watch that too. Graystone's a little husky, man. He might rip my arm off. A little strong there. All right, so 60-minute chart. You can see the double top right here. You can see price action retracing back down into previous structure. You said you're looking for what, a 2618 latch? He might have left. No, he's still here. 2618. Asking in hindsight. Asking how in hindsight could I have got involved in the double top second swing. Well, the double top would have been valid right here. So at market sell, right there. Looking for a move back down to 89 cent. Yeah, but not actually double top because that's my higher time for. Oh, okay. So on the 15. So how can you've gotten involved on that double top in the 15? Well, lower low, lower close. I'm not sure how that would have affected your risk reward. Only other way I see is wait for, if it's not that lower low, lower close, wait for a break here, break and retest. Then you got to ask yourself, did we come all the way down to, was the move already made that I expected? That would be the situation there. So aside from getting in at this lower low, lower close, which is 89.18, that's about it. Let me see if a range bar chart perhaps would have given you a different story. Yep, we're gonna get ready to close down shop as well. Got to put pants on. Pantalones. I have like one pair of pants, guys. I'm the worst. I don't have any normal people clothes. I don't, man. I don't have any normal people clothes. I have like 3 pairs of jeans. I got a few pair of decent slacks. I got dress shirts that got dust on them because they never get worn. Yeah, I don't know, Latch. Let's go down to a 5. I was gonna save a 5, but I think we're gonna have a higher close on a 5. Naomi's laughing at me. I'm a simple creature, Naomi. If there's a radar, I like to fly right under it. If there's a radar, I fly right under it. I cringe every time I see my the little the pictures we have like on the stuff where I'm in that blue shirt. I cringe every time I see that. It was you should have saw the fight it took for me to take that picture. It was a massive fight. I'm like, no, just put like an emoji face. Darren won that battle. Darren didn't have to do any until then Greystone found one. Yeah, there's nothing there, man. No, because we had a higher close on the 5, so that would have, for me, that would have negated it. So yeah, the only thing you could have done is, well, but it would have been the same time. So you could use a buy stop, but it would have been at the same time as this double top. Yeah, so I don't see any way for you to get involved. It looks like one of those situations where the market just didn't give you anything. All right, got a few minutes left. Any other pairs you guys want to take a look at? I know I sucked up some time with the housing conversation, but I thought that was pretty cool. Renting versus buying. I'm a Biosaurus. But I've also got a unique way of I'm a different character even when it comes to budgeting and stuff like that. I'm a very moody budgeter. I go from cycles in cycles. All right. Sure. Let me load up TradingView. Alex says Canada Swiss bat. You gotta give us some more details, Alex. What time frame? Give us an X leg. Boom, 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 boom. Hong Kong dollar. Singapore. Right, that's Singapore, right? SGD. That's Singapore. That's Hong Kong. That's Singapore. I believe so. Am I right? SGD Singapore. Singapore. Maybe not. Okay. Sure. What would you like to look at, Nick? What can I help you with on the 4 hour here? A little broadening wedge here. A megaphone pattern. Going back to the camel pattern from last week. What can I address for you on this pair? And then we'll take a look at the dollar or Canada Swiss bat. Looking like a megaphone, but I'm also diamond top, so I was thinking we fall back down in the peak. I have no idea how to trade these patterns or even what to expect from them. So I do not know. These broadening wedges, these megaphones, I'm not familiar with them. So I don't know what they're supposed to do, what they're not supposed to do. For me, they're just reverse. Well, they're still consolidation, but reverse coiling, where the market is making both higher highs and lower lows, and until we get a breakout one way or the other. I have no clue. So I can't help you with this until we break one of these trend lines. All right, let's look on Canada Swiss. Canada Swiss hourly. Or 4 hour? 1 hour. Bat. I'm not seeing one. Unless are you looking at this right here? X to A to B, like this? B to C, C to D up there? Was that it, Alex? Yep. There you go. Now, it is going to be invalid now. Keep that in mind. We violated the X leg. So it is going to be invalid. Now, depending on your rules, if you need a break and a close above, it can still be tradable. But for me, it's going to be invalid that we violate the X leg. But the break and close above would be a much stronger sign. So, all right, guys, got to head out. Again, apologies for the short day, but business is business. I will see you guys tomorrow for a normal session, same time, same place. I'll get this up to you a little bit later in the day, the recording. And until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Wish me luck.